guests to fill up the front rows, please. We appreciate it if everybody from the back can move and fill up the front rows in preparation for the talk. Thank you. Okay, a big shout out to all our viewers who are watching us live on Facebook and on YouTube TV. Thank you for joining us today. The session today is on artificial intelligence for digital pathology, challenges and opportunities, which will be presented by Professor Engineer Dr. Mohammad Faizal bin Ahmad, and we will begin shortly. So please be patient and stay with us while we wait for the guest of honors to arrive. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of the procession. The procession will now enter the hall. for the dedication of the Nagaraku. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to the guests of honor, Yang Berbahagia, Professor Datuk Dr. Mazliham Muhammad Suud, President of Multimedia University, Professor Engineer Dr. Hairul Azhar bin Abdul Rashid, Vice President of Research Industrial Collaborations and Engagement, Professor Engineer Dr. Wong Hin Yong, Vice President of Academic and International Relations, Associate Professor, Professional Technologies, Dr. Ui Chi Poon, Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, Multimedia University, Cyberjaya, Professor Engineer Dr. Mohammad Faizal Ahmad Fauzi, Professor Engineer Dr. Mohammad Faizal Ahmad Fauzi, our Honorable Speaker and Professor at the Faculty of Engineering, Multimedia University, Cyberjaya, Professor Engineer Dr. Hafizal Muhammad, Head of Department Electrical and Electronics, University Science Islam Malaysia, Dr. Kalayarasu Periyasamy, Director, Institute for Clinical Research at National Institutes for Health, Malaysia, Management Committee members, Deans, Deputy Deans, staff, students, and our dear audience online. Welcome to the MMU Inaugural Lecture Series 2022, Artificial Intelligence for Digital Pathology, Challenges and Opportunities, organized by the Multimedia University. My name is Siva Priya, and I will be your MC for today. MMU's Faculty of Engineering has a vision to produce undergraduates who are hands-on and have knowledge to bring state-of-the-art solutions to real-world engineering problems. To achieve this, our syllabus is benchmarked against industrial standards and current technologies, and we provide vast opportunities for research from our staff and also our students. The inaugural lecture series is a showcase of the faculty's engineering niches to enhance partnership and collaborations between academia and industry. With that said, I would now like to present the promotional video for the Faculty of Engineering, Multimedia University. you for the video presentation by the MMU Faculty of Engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, we would now like to invite Associate Professor, Professional Technologies, Dr. Uichi Pun, the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, to deliver the welcoming remarks.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Siwa. Salam sejahtera and very good morning to all. Yang bahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Maslihan Muhammad Suud, CEO and President of Multimedia University. Professor Engineer Dr. Hairul Asar bin Abdul Rashid, our Vice President of Research in Industry Collaborations and Engagement. Professor Engineer Dr. Wong Hin Yong, our Vice President for Academic. And also Professor Engineer Dr. Mohammad Faizal Ahmad Fauzi, our inaugural lecture today. Okay. Professor Engineer Dr. Hafizah Muhammad from USIM, University Science Islam Malaysia. And also Yang Bahagia Datuk Dr. Kalai Arasu from Director of Institute of Clinical Research and National Institute for Health, Malaysia, and also other distinguished guests. Welcome. It gives me a very great pleasure to welcome all of you on these special occasions on our Faculty of Engineering Inaugural Lecture 2022. Whether you are joining us physically or I was told there are also audience virtually, so we are truly thank you for your presence. Inaugural lecture represents a very important milestone for all academicians in it. Sorry, with the mask it's a bit hard to speak. Okay. Inaugural lecture actually represents a very important milestone for most of the academicians in their academic career and to celebrate their promotion to the rank of professor. And today, we are very proud to have our professor, Dr. Mohammad Faizal, to share with us the insight of his academic career and also introduce his field of research as well as his future research plan with us. The previous inaugural lecture of the Faculty of Engineering, in the past we have few, okay, I think the previous one was held in 2014, delivered by our respective Professor Engineer Dr. Hairul himself, okay, who is our Vice President of Research. Okay. He has shared with us his research area in optical fiber, and he also enlightened us during his lecture on how optical fiber could be used, not just to allow us to enjoy a faster internet speed, but also to improve the food shelf life, okay, and reduce the food shortages, which until today I think is still very relevant and also in line with our SDG 2, Zero Hunger. Okay. Today, our Professor Dr. Mohammad Faizal will continue this transition by delivering his inaugural lecture on the topic of artificial intelligence for digital pathology, the challenges and the opportunities. He will share with us how AI could be used not just to provide a personalized recommendation to people for online shopping based on their previous search and online behavior, but also can be applied to elevate the standard of healthcare by applying AI for a faster and reliable diagnosis and prognosis of cancer and other important diseases. His research work is also in line with SDG 3 to ensure the healthy life and well-being for all ages. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to our organizing committee. Thank you for spending the time and the effort to plan, to organize, and to oversee the whole event in order to ensure the success of this inaugural lecture. Please join me to give them a big hand for this. Thank you. Also, a very special thanks to my office staff, Ms. Husna, Ms. Wani, Gakyan, for giving their relentless effort to support this event. Thank you very much. My sincere appreciation also goes to the President Office and also the Vice President Office of Research, Industry, Collaboration and Engagement, our Strategic Marketing Team, SMART, Corporation Communication Department, CCD, our Facility Management Department, FMD, our Occupational Safety and Health and Environment Unit, OCH Unit, Faculty of Cinematic Art for giving us the venue, and also the Faculty of Creative Multimedia and the Security, who have actually assisted us and supported us in many ways in organizing this event. Thank you very much. So with that, I wish everyone here, including those who join us virtually, to have a fruitful and enjoyable lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Uichi Poon. And now it is my great pleasure to invite Professor Engineer Dr. Mohammad Faizal to introduce the speaker today and invite Professor Engineer Dr. Mohammad Faizal to give his inaugural lecture.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning everyone. A journey of 1,000 miles began with a single step. For Professor IR Dr. Mohammad Faizal Ahmad Fauzi, his journey on artificial intelligence and digital pathology begins about 25 years ago in Imperial College of London. Professor Dr. Faizal received Bachelor of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, first class honors from Imperial College London in 1999. Subsequently, he obtained his PhD in Electronic and Computer Science from the University of Southampton, United Kingdom in 2004, where we did our PhD together. His academic and research career began in Multimedia University. This is his second home for most of his professional life, where he grows and continues to embark on his research interests. With a humble beginning, he started to build his academic reputation and research profile. He was a tutor, a lecturer, a senior lecturer, and associate professor. Indeed, he is very loyal to MMU. Currently, he is a professor at the Faculty of Engineering, Multimedia University, and the head of the MMU Artificial Intelligence for Digital Pathology Research Excellence Consortium. From May 2013 to June 2014, and from April to June 2017, he was attached to the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center as a visiting scholar, where he worked on machine intelligence for diagnosis and prognosis. He has successfully obtained postdoctoral scholarship and as well as Fulbright Award to support his research fellowship. Personally, I believe this is a huge achievement and a major milestone for his research career. And we know that it's not easy to get a Fulbright Award. He's very bright and talented scholar. This is evident through his professional achievement during his quest for frontier research related to AI and also digital pathology. For all his hard work and dedication, he is a proud recipient of several awards, such as 2016 MCMC Senior Researcher Award, 2016 TM Group CEO Merit Award, 2017 MMU Excellent Researcher Award, 2020 IEEE Signal Processing Meritorious Service Award, and recently 2021 IEEE Region 10 Outstanding Volunteer Award. So this is some of the award that he has received. Despite his busy schedule conducting research involved in teaching and learning consultancy as well as administrative work, he still spent time and willing to allocate energy to volunteer for the IEEE. So Professor Dr. Faizal is a member of IEEE. He's also a member of Institute of Engineers Malaysia, IEM. He's also a member of Institute of Engineering and Technology, IET. He's a very, very active volunteer for the IEEE, serving as the chair for the IEEE Signal Processing Society. He was also the chair for IEEE Malaysia section. So IEEE Malaysia section chair is like the CEO of the IEEE in Malaysia. And he's currently the executive committee for the IEEE Region 10 since 2019. Through his leadership, the IEEE Signal Processing chapter has successfully obtained Chapter of the Year Award twice, in 2011 as well as 2014 when he served as the chair as well as the past chair. So personally, I've seen Signal Processing chapter grow from a small chapter and receive a huge recognition to obtain Chapter of the Year Award. Further, he's involved in organizing many international and flagship conferences. In particular, he's also involved in the IEEE ICIP conference, which will be held in Kuala Lumpur Convention Center in October 2023. So he and his signal processing chapter has worked very hard to bid and bring the conference to Malaysia. Professor Dr. Faizal has also delivered many keynote and invited speech at international conferences. So he has conducted a lot of research. He's very passionate about research. Professor Dr. Faizal has published more than 100 journals and conference articles in the area of signal and image processing, pattern recognition, computer vision, and biomedical informatics. Through his continuous effort, he has successfully secured many research grants. So these are some of the lists that we can fit in this one slide. So he has received a lot of grants locally, nationally, from MOHI, MOSTI, as well as internationally from Fulbright, ISDB, JICA, as well as from industry, from TM. He has also contributed for the development of a new breed of researchers where he has produced more than 16 postgraduate students. On the personal note, he is a fanatic supporter of AC Milan Football Club and also Italy. His childhood dream is to become an engineer. So we are glad that you choose this path to contribute all your life and also effort to the development in the area of electronic engineering and in particular for the area of artificial intelligence and digital pathology. We look forward to hear your inaugural lecture and some of the good work that you have done for the past 25 years. Please welcome Professor Dr. Mohammad Faizal Ahmad Fauzi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Prof. Hafizal, for a very nice introduction. I like the presentation slides that he gave. Okay, makes me feel young. Okay, because as if I'm only 25 years old. Okay, in fact, I'm much older. Okay, I'm actually 27. Actually, Prof. Hafizal is my senior. MMU, before it became the MMU of today, okay, started as a small institution, okay, that focuses on telecommunications and information technology. Okay, so the institute is known as ITTM, okay, Institute for Telekomunikasi dan Teknologi Maklumat. Prof. Faizal is the first batch of that institute, so he's actually my senior. I joined him a year later. So we've been very close, okay, ever since. So for the past 25, 26 years, okay, we've been very close. So I'm very glad, okay, for him to spend some time, okay, to introduce me today. Thank you, Prof. Hafizal. Okay. Before I start my lecture, again, I would like to thank you, Prof. Dato Dr. Mazli Ham, President of MMU, for spending some time to be here today. Thank you, Prof. Hairul and the RICE team for organizing this talk and for giving me the opportunity to deliver this talk. I believe there are many more senior professors that should have the honor to give this inaugural talk, but nevertheless, I'm very grateful I have this opportunity. And thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Ui Chi Poon, and also the Deputy Dean Dr. Tan Yi Fei and her team from the Faculty of Engineering for arranging this very nice gathering, very nice ceremony. So thank you very much for your support. Thank you, Dr. Kalaya Rasu, he's the director director of the Institute of Clinical Research at the National Institute of Health, and also his team for joining this talk. It's always an honor when you have people from NIH to come to your talk, especially when it comes in the area of healthcare and also medical. And last but not least, thank you for all of you for attending my talk today. I hope you enjoy this talk. I'll try not to be too technical, but also I'll try not to be too on the surface, so hopefully everybody can benefit from this talk. My name is Mohammad Faizal Ahmad Fauzi. I'm a professor at the Faculty of Engineering, Multimedia University. Beside MMU, as Prof. Faizal mentioned, I'm quite active with IEEE. I was the chair for Signal Processing Malaysia chapter, the chair for Malaysia section, and currently with the IEEE Region 10, which is the Asia Pacific region of IEEE. So the talk today is on artificial intelligence for digital pathology, challenges and opportunities. So there are two main keywords here. The first one is artificial intelligence. The second one is digital pathology. I think AI, everybody is quite familiar with AI, but nevertheless, we'll go into that in a bit. But digital pathology, unless you are from the medical field, probably you're not very familiar, so I'll start with introduction to the pathology, and then to the digital pathology before I move on to the challenges and opportunities in digital pathology. If we have time, we'll present also a bit of the pathology projects that we have undertaken here at MMU before we go to the end my talk with a summary and conclusion. AI, artificial intelligence. I think everybody have heard about this, but besides AI, we also have machine learning. And recently, you probably also heard about deep learning. So these three, basically, they are subset of one another. AI is the big research field, and then we have the machine learning where we want to train machines to behave like humans. And then we have deep learning, a specialized set of machine learning algorithms that try to solve, try to mimic human according to how the brain works. So I'll brief a bit about the introduction to pathology. So for those who are not familiar with this area, so for pathology, basically you can see the images at the top, those are pathology. Especially when you have cancer, God forbid we don't have it. We need to, the doctors or the pathologists need some sample tissue from your body, and then they will do some processing with it. So what basically will end up with the glass slides, as you can see at the top. And the doctors basically will analyze it under the microscope. This is a very tedious task. Because I work with many pathologists, when they see the microscope, they see thousands or millions of cells. And it is still quite manual, where they have to manually calculate or manually identify which cells are abnormal, which cells are aggressive, in order to, for example, do some diagnosis, do some grading of the cancer, and so on. So pathology is a branch of medical science concerning the examination of organs, tissues, and bodily fluids in order to make a diagnosis, especially cancers. And digital pathology, right now we have technology now to scan the very small glass slides to a very high resolution where you can see the cells on the monitor screen. And this technology is made possible by what we call as a whole slide scanning. Okay, so the technology here, whole slide scanning, is the one that is based on visual microscopy that is able to convert the glass slide, the tiny glass slides, into very high resolution images. So this is just a flowchart, a simple flowchart. Okay? To do pathology, to do a diagnosis based on pathology, you need to remove samples from your body. So either from surgery or either from biopsy, you need to remove some samples. Okay? And these samples need to be processed, okay? We need to be prepared, okay? Like the one shown in the middle picture there. Okay? And once we have the glass slide, okay, the doctors, usually we do it through the microscope, but we can also, now with the whole slide scanning technology, we can do it digitally as well. And this is basically what the doctors see, okay, usually under the microscope. Okay? As a whole tissue, you can see, the structure. Okay? So as you can see from the circles and also the squares. Okay? So the one tiny region, for example, the green one, okay, we have only a very tiny region, 0.28 millimeter square. Okay? But when we zoom in, we are going to see all the cells. Okay? And there are different regions. Okay? Doctors knows better, pathologists knows better which area to look at. Okay? And when you zoom in, this is more or less what you can see. Okay? You can see individual cells. You can see which cells are abnormal, which cells are aggressive. Okay? In one of my previous work, the doctors have to count. Okay? They see millions of these cells, they have to count. And then the decision is basically very fixed. They have to count. If it's less than this number, then it is, for example, grade 1. If it's more than this number, it's grade 2. If it's even more, then it's grade 3. So it's a very tedious process. Pathologists took about 2-3 hours easily to analyze, okay, all these slides. So this is where digital pathology and also the AI can come into play. We can help this or assist the pathologists in doing so much more efficiently. And you probably also heard about radiology. Okay? Radiology is when you have X-ray, you have CT scan, you have MRI scans. Okay? But pathology is different. Okay? So you can see the images that both are medical imaging. The one on the left-hand side is a radiology. You have the CT scan, MRI, and then the way we acquire the images, okay, are through those machines. For example, the CT scan machines are shown there. Okay? And as you mentioned, for pathology, it is invasive. We need to get tissue samples from your body, and then we prepare it, we scan it, okay? We do the staining, we scan it, and then we have something on that. So it's quite different area. Radiology and pathology is quite different, but they complement each other. And pathology, we have basically two branches, okay? Histology and cytology. Okay? Just quickly, I'm just going to go through this. Histology is when you study the disease at a tissue level. And cytology is when you study the disease at the cellular level, the cell level. Okay? And the workflow is basically, either you have biopsy or surgery. Okay? And then we have the samples, you have to do some preparation. There are different kind of preparations, so I'm not going to bore you through this. I myself also not very familiar. Okay? Always have the pathologists have to help me. So they can have the smearing or the fixation, okay, which can also be based on formalin or frozen section. Okay. But once we prepare them, okay, we do the staining. There are many different stains, okay, in order to highlight what the doctors want to see in the images. Okay. The two most common stains are the HNE and also the IHC staining. We'll go into this a bit also after this. Okay. And after that, we can do the diagnosis. Okay. Traditionally, we do it from the glass slides under the microscope, okay? But now with digital pathology, we can do it through the digital slides. Okay? You can do it through the monitor. And okay, just quickly, okay, on each of the stages that shown before, biopsy, you remove samples. Okay? You have to remove the sample, especially if you know the cancerous, we need to remove the samples in order to study. Okay? We need to understand, okay, how the cells behave. Okay. And then we do the specimen preparation. Okay? So histology, usually we do fixation. Cytology, usually smearing. Okay? This is just a generalized or very simple summary of this specimen preparation. Okay? Different kind of preparation, as you can see from the graphics there. And then we do the staining. Staining is to highlight. Okay? By default, the staining that is used is the H&E. H&E stands for hematoxylin and iosine. Okay? That is used to examine thin sections of tissue, okay? Where we have the cell nuclei will be stained blue, and all the other, for example, cytoplasm, connective tissue, and other extracellular will be stained pink or red. So you're going to have blue and pink or blue and red images. Okay? Whereas the IHC staining, okay, is a different staining. Okay? We do it, but it's quite popular also. Okay? We use it to identify and visualize the antigens in cells. Okay? They can give spatial location. Can be used to locate particular cells and protein, okay? And also can use to identify cellular events. This is the example of the same tissue, but when we prepare them, they can cut into several slices, and then they can stain differently. This is two of the most popular one that we mentioned previously. H&E, you can see purplish and pinkish hue. IHC more brownish. So this is exactly the same specimen, but stained differently in order for us to, for the pathologists to analyze it better. Okay. And there are many other stains, but I'm not going to go into all of this. Okay, to show that the field of digital pathology, especially if you want to apply AI, one of the opportunities that we have later on, okay, is we have all of this, and then if you want to use machine learning or AI, we need to train them differently, so there's a lot of opportunities there. Then we come to diagnosis. Okay, usually we look at for abnormal cells. Okay, you can imagine this is not a very difficult case, but under one area, the doctors can see like thousands or millions of cells. They have to identify individually. Okay, and then they also sometimes doesn't agree with each other. Okay, so one pathologist says, okay, this is an abnormal cell. One pathologist says, okay, they are normal. Okay, so they always disagree. So they have to look into, in general. But okay, when we do diagnosis, okay, we look for the structure. We look for any abnormal cells. Okay, we can do it under the microscope, or now that we can do it on a computer monitor. Okay, then many more pathologists can give inputs at once. Okay. And also for the prognosis, okay, we have also one project on prognosis to identify extent to which the patient's cancer responds to treatment. Okay. So this is to estimate the likely cause and outcome of a disease. Okay. And then to know what are the chances, okay, to be successfully treated. Okay. And it depends on many factors, okay, not only images, okay, based on the location of the cancer, also biological and genetic properties, and so on. Now quickly for digital pathology, now we have the scanning technology. We can scan the very small glass slides into very high resolution images. Okay. So this is made possible by this scanner. This is, I wish I can have this scanner in my lab. Okay. It costs like $500,000, okay, just to purchase one. Okay. So of course, I think no local grants is going to allow you to buy that. Okay. But we are very happy to have our collaborators, okay, whether from hospital or from other universities that do have these scanners, okay, that we can collaborate together. So it's currently, digital pathology is regarded as the most promising avenues for diagnostic medicine. And the resolution, as I mentioned, is very high. Okay? When you take a photos with your camera, okay, usually you have like 3,000 by 4,000 pixels. Even currently, I'm not well versed with the latest resolution, but probably 5,000 by 6,000 pixels. That is big enough to print a poster, okay, poster size. But pathology, you can go up to 100,000 by 100,000 pixels. Okay? And the original size, when you scan it, can be more than 10 gigabytes. So this is always a problem, okay, for storing. Okay. And when you compress also still, you take around 1 to 2 gigabyte of storage. You can compare this with, for example, mammography, the one on the right-hand side. Okay. At most, you can have like probably in this case 5,000 by 2,000. You can see the difference in the images. Okay. But because of this high resolution, we can have multi-focus, multi-stain, multi-resolution, multi-slice. Okay. You can view the slides as a whole. We can view the cell, individual cell. So there's a lot of analysis can be done. There's a lot of AI can be used in this area. And this is the workflow of pathology. The one on the right is currently being practiced in hospital, manual. Basically, we have the glass slides. We have to do conventional quality assurance. We have to do case assembly and sorting, case fetching, and then conventional diagnostic using microscope. Now we have this new technology. We want to replace the red flow with digital flow. We do scanning, we do storage, we do digital quality assurance, we do diagnostics digitally as well. So there's a lot of opportunities in this area. Microscopy in itself started long time ago. This is the timeline from 1600s, where we have the microscope, to 1900s, where we have the slides, to the 1980s, to the 2000s, where we first have digital pathology, a whole slide scanner, to help us with digital pathology. But not until recently, actually in 2017. They have whole slide scanner, they can scan, they can display in the monitor, but they don't have the approval for pathologists to do the diagnosis based on the monitor screen. They still have to do it through the glass slide. So previously, they can only, for example, use it to compare, to assist them in some way. But now, I think in 2017, the US FDA has permitted the marketing of a machine, a software, a system that allows for the review and interpretation of these slides digitally. And in the end, what we want to do is we want to assist the pathologists. I think there's also an issue of the pathologists or the medical practitioner worried that AI will overtake their job, but this is not the case. We always need the physician, we always need the pathologists, we always need the doctors. The AI, we can use it to assist them, to give a better decision, or faster decision. So in the end, this is what we want to achieve with digital pathology. So we'll go into challenges and opportunities. First, challenges. There are many challenges, but here, in the interest of time, I'll list down, I think, 9 challenges and 9 opportunities. Probably I'll do it quickly as well. Not too in-depth, but not too surface as well. The first challenges we have is definitely, as I mentioned, the resolution. You have 100,000 by 100,000 pixels. You don't know, especially first, you don't know where to look at. You need pathologist help. And then when we use deep neural network, this deep neural network is currently the buzzword now. The popular methods. They operate on much smaller dimensions. So one potential is to use patching, but even then, for example, then one example given here, we have one patch. Region smaller than certain size, 1.5 micrometer square, may not be suitable for many diagnostic purpose. Even then, that size is already 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. So we're still working on this, the best way to actually work with such a high resolution images. Second challenge is on the computational expenses. Again, this one we are referring to the deep learning. Deep learning requires GPU. Because if you do it on a CPU, it can be sluggish, it can be impractical. And to have the the scanner already, the WSI scanner already is, as I mentioned, can cost $500,000. To have that already is a huge financial pressure, huge financial burden for the hospital. Adding with all the CPU, will further add to the financial cost. So this is, in terms of costing, in terms of computational expenses, these are another challenge. Third challenge is on the lack of label data. When we talk about machine learning, most of the algorithms are supervised. What we need to label them, we need to have them labeled so that we can train the AI system, the deep learning system, the machine learning system. And we don't have that many here. We have 100,000 by 100,000 data. If you want to label them, for example, which cells are abnormal, which cells are not, which region is tumorous, which region is not, it's going to cost a lot of manpower from the pathologist's time. Otherwise, but currently we do have some small sample, and for our work also, we work with our pathologists. They are also willing to spend some time to help us label the data. So this is challenge, but can be addressed, and hopefully in the future can be, you can have much more of this. Next challenge is on the pervasive variability. Basically, there are only like a few basic types of tissues, but the number of patterns derived from this can be infinite. If you want to use deep learning, you want to use machine learning, especially the supervised one, we need to train them. So when we have so many number of patterns, we need to train them. So again, we need a lot of label data, which goes back to the previous challenge. We have a lack of label data. Next one is on the variation and artifacts. So even with the best scanner that we have all these variation first of all. Different scanner, you have, for example, the one on the right-hand side, you can have a different output. So you have a different, the same histopathology images using different scanner, you have different color variations, you also have different artifacts, a tear, blood image, folded tissue section, not to mention all the other artifacts like air drying during the processing, the preparation stage, and so on. So this added to the challenges. For the next few challenges, this is more on the deep learning, because deep learning is always the focus right now. But deep learning still there are problem. The next few challenges is regarding deep learning. The first one is adversarial attacks. Why we have difficulties in employing deep learning in medical field especially is because you can fool the system. You can manipulate some very small number of pixels inside an image, and suddenly, initially the system works fine, can detect correctly, can classify correctly, but because of this manipulation, suddenly it becomes wrong diagnosis. So there's some work on addressing this, but still, yet to find out how to create deep networks that is robust enough to avoid such mishaps. In medical field, this is worrisome. So we have good results using deep learning, but there are some catch. And the next one on what we call the black box problem. This is also a major issue in AI, in deep learning, and also especially so in medical applications. Black box means they involve millions of multiplications, millions of filtering process happen when we apply deep learning. These are all happen, we can call it like a black box. We don't actually know what happened there. It's impossible to actually visualize. So we give them some sample. This is, for example, this is cancer, this is not cancer, this is abnormal cell, this is not abnormal cells. They will do the all processing, they will give us the result, but we don't know what actually happened inside there. In the medical community, this is generally unacceptable. So this, together with the previous challenge, number 6 previously, are the two main issues when we apply AI in medical field. Okay. So, reliable diagnosis must be transparent. Okay. It must be fully comprehensible. Okay. And also, in order to get regulatory approval for use in clinical practice, okay, this need to be addressed as well. So this is very big challenge. Okay. And next one is on weak AI. Okay. When we talk about AI, we have weak AI and strong AI. Weak AI is basically they just simulate the thinking of a human. Okay. Strong AI is the ability to think like human. Most of AI today are categorized as weak AI. Okay. Whereas in order for, especially for to do diagnosis, okay, we need to have strong AI. Okay. Most deep neural networks or deep learning network belong to the class of weak AI as well, okay, because they need to train separately for different tasks. You want to do segmentation, you have to train them separately. You want to do classification, you have to train them separately. Even for classification, okay, you need to train them separately for many different anatomical sites. And this requires tremendous resources. But no, we are trying to go there. From weak AI, we want to go to the strong AI. Okay? From simulating the thinking, we want to go to be able, for the system to be able to think. And this is the last. Okay, there's many more, but I think this 9, okay, is what, based on literature, based on experience. Okay, these are the 9 that I listed here. Okay, the last one here is the realism of AI. Okay, to implement AI tools to function well in daily practice. Okay, more so for medical field. Okay, it's going to be difficult to accomplish. Okay, in healthcare, the failures. Okay. Usually on the difficulties, the reported failures are on difficulties in deploying these AI tools. Okay. And we need the pathologists buy-in. Okay. Pathologists are, I work with a lot of pathologists. They are willing to help. Okay. Some of them are very supportive or very trustful of computers. Okay. I have one situation last time. We developed a system. Okay, this is when we work with the Ohio State pathologists. We developed a system. We got a result. Okay, we show it to the pathologist. The pathologist initially diagnosed it differently, but when we show the result to them, okay, suddenly they change their diagnosis, meaning that they are very trustful of the algorithm, even though we ourselves sometimes we don't trust it. So we need to have these pathologists buy in, okay, but this will depend on the ease of use of the system that we develop, financial return of the investment, and also trust. So some pathologists very trustful, some still have some, especially if you use deep learning where the lack of transparency is involved. Now we move on to the opportunities. Okay, there's a lot of opportunities in digital pathology. Okay, first of all, okay, AI, digital pathology, okay, can increase the quality and productivity. Okay, you can have improved analysis. We can reduce errors. Remember the pathologists have to spend like 2-3 hours. After some point, fatigue starts to set in. They start to make errors. Okay, and so we can help to improve this. Okay? So to have better quality, you can have better views. In terms of productivity, you can have better workflow. Okay? Reduce turnaround time. So instead of 3 hours, we can do it within 10 minutes, for example. Okay? Of course, with a better GPU, we can even have even faster. Okay? And it can also lead to more innovation. So opportunity number 1. This is also one of the main reasons why I go into this digital pathology. Okay? Is the cancer itself. The research on cancer itself is expanding. Okay? Every day we have a new insight into cancer, because cancer also is a very complicated. Okay? For example, we work with recently on tumor budding. Tumor budding is happens in few cancers such as colorectal cancer. So this is new findings, okay, from the medical community. So we pick up on it, we develop something, okay, and then suddenly, we got a patent out of it. Okay, so we have new insight in medical field. We jump on it. Okay, we try to help the pathologists by assisting them develop algorithms. So this is a very big opportunity. Okay, the ever expanding research on cancer. Okay, where you can have there's a lot of things we can work on. Okay, we can work on detection. Okay, simple detection. Okay, whether tissue segmentation, tumor region segmentation, cell detection, and we can work on diagnosis. Okay, just based on cell counting or classification, simple classification, okay, or tumor grading or even tumor staging. And we can also do even further on the prognosis side, okay, to see the outcome, okay, of the treatment. Okay, we can do predictive scoring, suggestive treatment, and so on. The second opportunity is, okay, here we talk about digital pathology. As I mentioned, we have radiology as well previously. Okay, and on top of these two, we also have genomic data. Okay, genomic means we have the DNA, the RNA. So we have different resources. We have a large amount of digital information available. Okay, and if we do analysis on it, we can find new relationship or new clinical pathological relationships between this data. Okay. Doctors can do it manually. Okay, they can spend a lot of hours to analyze it. Okay, so but it basically is unrealistic. So this is where machine learning, okay, or AI, okay, comes into play. Okay, so some example of recently discovered relationships. Okay, prognosis predictions from histopathological image of cancer. Okay. Prediction of somatic mutation, okay, and discovery of new gene variants, okay, related to autoimmune thyroiditis based on image QTL. Opportunity number 3 is again automation. So this is where, okay, there are some components, okay, in the pathologist's daily clinical practice that we can fully automate. Okay, for example, cell counting, okay, or cell identification. Okay, so those that we can automate, okay, we can automate them. Okay, this is we are moving into Industry 4.0, where everything is automated. Okay, so this can be, either on the laborious and mundane task. The pathologist doesn't really like to do this. Okay, it's a laborious task, but it's a simple task but very laborious. This is where we can help them. For example, counting the number of mitosis. Okay, screening for easily identifiable cancer types. Okay. So for doctors, this is not challenging, but they have to spend a lot of time. But we can also address complex tasks, okay, like triaging biopsies that need urgent attention, okay, ordering appropriate stain up front, okay, when indicated. So this is more challenging. The doctors are more open to this kind of challenges, okay, but we can also here help them. Next opportunity is on the assistance. Okay, as I mentioned, we don't want to replace the pathologist altogether. Okay, but we want to provide assistance. Okay, this is where machine learning, AI, deep learning can come into play. Okay, we can provide assistance. We can even provide training. Okay, for example, okay, the doctors are trying to diagnose new cases. They are not sure, okay, what to do with it. Okay, what actually happens. Okay, but we can try to now retrieve previous cases, similar previous cases, and then based on the retrieve, they can refer to the whatever diagnosis there, whatever recommendations, and this is what we can do to help them. Okay? We can provide assistance, okay, because in the end, decision-making resides with the pathologist. Okay? We can assist them, okay, to achieve better diagnosis, okay, or faster diagnosis. So opportunities number 5, okay, we have, okay, previously we showed the AI, the machine learning, the deep learning. Okay. We also have now one of the buzzwords, big data. Big data falls under data science. Okay. So all these 3, AI, machine learning, and deep learning, okay, can work together with data science. Okay. This is how they can interact. Okay. They can open the field, to pathologists, to data science, okay, data science research. to further increase the reliability, okay, of the system. So pathology itself is big, okay, high resolution. So there itself is a big data, but they are structured data. When we talk about big data, they focus more on the unstructured data. Okay, they can complement each other. Okay. The next 4 opportunities is more, I'm discussing a bit more on the algorithm itself. Okay. So as I mentioned, deep learning is the buzzword now. Everybody is focusing on deep learning. So always, you can do a lot of research, a lot of tweak, okay, on the system. You can design new system. Okay, you can transfer the knowledge obtained from one system to another. Okay, for example, we can learn, okay, from millions of natural images, okay, in order to understand. We can transfer the knowledge. Okay, now we want to apply the knowledge to a specific domain, for example, pathology images. Okay, these are all possible with deep features. Okay, so deep learning is, they are reported very high accuracy. So they have their, the reason why they are popular. Okay, but again, as I mentioned, okay, they have their own drawbacks. Okay. And when we talk about deep learning, okay, usually we refer to the one type of deep learning called the convolution neural network. There's another type of deep learning is on the generative framework. This is where I think right now it's quite popular as well, where you can do deep fake. Okay? You create fake data. Okay? You can create fake video of someone. So basically, they are using this generative framework. Of course, in medical field, we are not going to create fake data, okay? But we can use it. Okay? If your algorithm is good enough to create fake data, then they understand the problem well enough, okay, in order for us to take advantage of it. Okay? So if an algorithm can generate data, they also must have understood the image very well, okay, to be able to generate it, so we can make use of it in order to do our diagnosis as well. Okay? So generative frameworks focus on learning to reproduce data without making any decisions, but we can tweak them. Okay? Example of generative frameworks include the naive Bayes, okay, the Boltzmann machines, okay, and generative adversarial networks. Okay? So all those deep fake videos that you see, okay, all mostly come from this generative framework. Okay. Since we have deep learning, okay, the traditional, what we call it, traditional or conventional image processing or machine learning or computer vision somehow has become less popular. Okay? But they do have their own advantages. Okay? For example, the behavior, we have, okay, for example, wavelet, okay, transform, Gabor, transform. We can understand their behavior. This is opposite to deep learning. Deep learning, we don't understand. It's like a black box. Okay? But these handcrafted features, we can understand them better. So in a way, they are more suitable for medical imaging, okay, medical applications. Okay? So their results can be interpreted, okay, at least by humans. Okay? Doesn't require special GPU, doesn't involve too many computational resources. Okay? So they are more in alignment with the knowledge of medical professionals and therefore more easily employed, okay, in digital pathology. So this is opportunity there as well. Okay? So just because everybody is jumping on the deep learning bandwagon doesn't mean you have to as well. Okay? It can be, sometimes you don't have the computational resources, so you can, still focus on handcrafted features, traditional features, okay, to work on this area. Okay. And the last one I mentioned here, again, there's a lot of opportunities, but I think for this lecture, this 9 is sufficient. So the last one here is, again, unsupervised learning. This is also a victim of the popularity of deep learning. Okay. We have, because of the prior success stories, okay, for deep learning solutions, so everybody jump into it, everybody is working on it. Okay. So unsupervised learning somehow, okay, not many people are focusing on that anymore. So this kind of learning is have their own advantages. Okay? They don't need labels. Okay? One of the challenges previously is labels. You need to always have labels. Unsupervised learning doesn't need that. Okay? So again, in a way, they are more practical. Okay? And so we need to rediscover, okay, the potential of unsupervised algorithms, okay, that have somehow fallen to the back a bit. Okay? So for example, the self-organizing maps, hierarchical clustering, okay, because we don't need labeling. Okay? So extracting features, okay, without this label data can be very valuable. Okay. So that's more or less the challenges and opportunities. Okay? I'm going to share, because I think we have some time, I can share a bit on all the pathology projects that we have at MMU. Okay? Whether directly in MMU or when I went for my sabbatical. Okay? I was exposed to pathology first when I did my sabbatical in the Ohio State University. Since then, I've been working on it, okay, over here. Okay? Try to get a lot of pathologists to be involved. So this is the current project that I have, okay, on we call the KKP. Mohi have this initiative, okay, to produce consortium, especially for those niche areas. Okay, we have AI, but not many people is working on digital pathology, and we work together. Okay, we work with IMU, we work with UKM. Okay, so as far as we know, these three have research groups working on this. Recently, probably there are many others. Okay, but when we first established this, probably we have these three, so we band together. The idea is, we want to elevate the standard of research to international standards. Okay, and that is also the good thing about the KKP grant. Okay, they let us, to network with leading research labs, and okay, we want to elevate this. So hopefully we can become a national high COE and also national referral point, okay, for anything related to AI for digital pathology. And this is also another one of our current works, okay, on tumor biomarker scoring. Okay, this one is related to precision medicine. We want to identify suitable treatment for breast cancer patients. Okay, because different people, even though they have, for example, the same cancer, the same diagnosis, but because they have different, they are different people, they have different proteins and so on, they can react differently, okay, to the treatment. So we do this, we work with UMMC, okay, University Malaya Medical Center, to develop a scoring methods where we can automatically suggest the kind of treatment required for certain cancer patient, okay, based on pathology images. And this is the one that I mentioned just now. Tumor budding detection is a new thing, okay, in medical community itself, or relatively new thing. Okay, we jump on it. Okay, we work on it. We create some a system for it. Okay, so we able to obtain a patent. Okay, we registered a patent in US Patent Office. Okay, and some publications. If you want to know more about all this project, and there's the publications are given there. So this is, always an opportunity. Okay, for example, tomorrow probably the medical community find out something new. Okay, it's about some other cancers. We can jump on it. But important thing is that you need to be working with pathologists very closely. Okay. And this is another work we have on the grading of follicular lymphoma. This is a type of blood cancer. Okay. So here also is kind of a social study as well, okay, in a way, okay, because we developed this system that can grade this automatically. Then we test, we work with, like, at that time 11 pathologists. Okay, this is the work when I was at the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center. We work with a lot of pathologists. We ask them to grade, okay, several cases, okay, and then we do our own diagnosis, okay, or our own grading, okay, using computers, and then we show it to them, okay, and then we see whether whether they agree with the computers or not. Okay. Interestingly, quite a lot of pathologists, as I mentioned just now, a lot of pathologists is very trustful to computers. They change their grading, even though initially they say this is low-grade cancer. Okay. After we show what the computers find out, okay, and then of course they can cross-verify. Okay, they can look at in detail again. They can refer to the microscope again if they want. Okay, and then they decide, okay, they agree with the computer. They change their grading. Okay, so it is very interesting to see, especially for new residence pathologists. Okay, those with experts one, okay, they have. I mean, they are very expert. So sometimes they don't, they stick to their own opinion. Okay, but we measure this. Okay, this is what we find out. It's a very interesting project. Even at this point, the accuracy of the system that we present to them itself is not very high. Only like 80%. Even 80%, they already, a lot of them already trust the computer. So again, this is why it's very interesting to work on this area. Okay. So we have breast tumor detection. Okay. Again, another work we have with UMMC. Okay. We just want to detect the tumor location. Prognostic reporting. Okay. This is for neuropathology. Okay. Where we classify, okay, according to their strength, okay, of the staining, which can help with the prognosis of that particular cancer as well. Okay. Some simple, okay, tumor classification. Okay, we want to diagnose the difference between brain cancer and brain metastasis. Okay. So those two are different. Brain metastasis is, they found the cancer in the brain, but it actually originates from somewhere else. Okay, originate from the breast, for example, and then they got into the, to the blood, okay, and then they transferred to the brain. So they don't, even though they found it in the brain, they don't call it brain cancer. They call it a brain metastasis. So we want to differentiate between these two so that different recommendation can be given. Because one of the great things about this project is that, the pathologists during the surgery, they only have like half an hour to do the diagnosis, okay? Because especially for brain, okay, brain you cannot do biopsy, you have to do surgery, you have to cut open the patient's head, remove the samples, do the diagnosis, and then tell at that point and at that time, okay, what is the recommendation, okay? Because once they close, the head, they cannot after this open it again, okay? So whatever they need to do it within half an hour, okay? So this is very interesting work as well. So I think that's more or less, I think, come to the end of my lecture here. So as a summary, okay, so digital pathology, as you mentioned, okay, now is gaining considerable attention. Okay, so the adoption of this digital pathology, okay, ushered in new horizons. Okay, both computer vision and AI. Both researchers and entrepreneurs convinced that AI in general and deep learning, okay, able to assist, okay, with many tasks in pathology, okay, but it's not as straightforward. Okay, the current enthusiasm because of the accuracy, okay, is very high, but it's not as straightforward as I mentioned in the many different challenges previously. Okay, and the danger of overselling, okay, the AI is still omnipresent. And also commercialization implications, okay, such as scaling and deployment, okay, will need to be taken into consideration. Okay. But nonetheless, okay, it's a clear potential for breakthrough with AI in medical imaging, okay, particularly in digital pathology, okay, if we suitably manage the strengths and pitfalls of it. Okay. One last thing before I end my lecture, okay, dedication and appreciation. I would like to take this opportunity to dedicate this to, first of all, my parents. Okay, my father Ahmad Fauzi Abdul Rahman, okay, my mother Khalija Ahmad, okay, and my siblings, okay, Fariha, Fariza, Fazlina, Fairuz. Okay. Also my wife and my kids. Okay, my wife is here today. but my kid is not, are not. They have to go to school. I think it's still, we're still in Shawwal, so selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Maaf zahir dan batin. And also especially this for my postgraduate students. So along the years, I've helped to graduate, okay, quite a lot of students, okay, in MMU. So I think all of their names are here. I don't think I missed any of these, okay. The graduated ones and also as well as the ongoing ones. Okay. And my mentors, okay. All the previous presidents of MMU, the current president of MMU. So the one on the left-hand side, those are still with MMU. Okay? MMU or TM. The one on the middle somehow already move on, okay? Move to some other avenues. Okay? And those on the right-hand side are nothing to do with MMU. Okay? These include my PhD supervisor, my lab director at Ohio State, okay? My mentor at or my leader at IEEE, okay, nationally as well as internationally in Region 10. So thank you for all of my mentors. Yeah. And of course to Faculty of Engineering and Technology. Okay, when I first joined in, I was in Malacca, FET. Okay, and then in 2005 only, I relocated to this Faculty of Engineering until now. So thank you especially for Dr. Tan Yifei for organizing this. Okay. So these are the current list of staff in FOE. So thank you all. Okay. Okay. And last but not least, again, thank you to Prof. Engineer Dr. Hafizal, okay, for agreeing to be the introducer for my inaugural lecture. Okay. And also for Mr. Karil Anwar, I'm not sure if he's here, okay, for preparing the following video to end my lecture. So with this, okay, I end my lecture. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Faizal, for the insightful lecture. I am sure the audience here and also the audience online received a lot of insights and understanding towards the challenges and opportunities in implementing artificial intelligence for digital pathology. We strongly believe that the time has come now for diagnosis of disease to be available in Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving to the presentation of the token of appreciation. We would like to invite Professor Engineer Hairul Azhar, accompanied by Associate Professor Professional Technologies Dr. Ui Chi Poon, on stage to present the token of appreciation to our distinguished speaker and also to Professor Engineer Dr. Hafizal Muhammad. We now invite Professor Engineer Dr. Hairul Azhar to present the token of appreciation to Professor Engineer Dr. Mohammad Faizal Ahmad Fauzi. We invite Professor Hairul once again to present the token of appreciation to the introducer, Professor Engineer Dr. Hafizal Muhammad. We thank the guests of honors and request that they remain on stage. We now invite the guests of honors to take a group photograph. Okay, so please be invited to take the group photograph. Ya, buka mas. Can we also please invite Professor Wong to join the group photograph? Thank you to the guests of honors, and now you may return to your seats.